Good morning. We are working on conflicts, and today the adverse effects of conflicts. There are positive effects on conflicts and negative effects on conflicts. So we want to just talk about it. But there are some negative, effects on of conflicts also. But amazingly, as I said before, we can get some benefits from conflicts, and we can understand something we didn't know from the conflicts. So, anyways, that's what we want to just work on. The desire to achieve a positive or negative outcome can lead to unexpected results, such as massive violence. Yeah. Well, we can hope that we can get positive effects from even conflicts, but we can have disastrous violence. That is what exactly happening in Ukraine. Ukraine, the Zelensky, the president, he promised that his country wants to become a member of NATO. But NATO actually didn't want it, and they just declined it. Even before Zelensky, I think he hasn't applied the membership yet. I don't know what's going on, but that's what I understand. But even before he said he wanted to be a member of NATO, but NATO said no, because the members of NATO, they were thinking that if they accept Ukraine as a member of NATO, they're gonna have problems with Russia. And then Russia was supporting, sending lots of natural gas to majority of NATO member countries, Germany and England, or many countries. And not only the natural gas, but lots of energies and the materials and resources. So, and at the same time, what if Russia has problems with Ukraine, and what if they fight? And NATO member countries were thinking that it's going to be a hectic to them, because they knew that Ukraine was, huge resources for wheats and other minerals and energies at the same time. So they said no. But Zelensky just pushed his country and NATO, so the Ukraine can be part of the NATO. That's why Russia just decided to make a war with the Ukraine. That's exactly what happened, and what's happening right now. And all people were thinking that, some people were thinking that the war can be done quickly, but it's been 3 months, more than 3 months, I think. and lots of whole world we got impacted by the war because of the conflict between Russia and NATO, Russia and Ukraine, Russia and America. Because of the war, and plus because of the war, lots of countries not getting that hasn't been getting, hasn't been gotten, lots of resources and energies from both Russia and Ukraine. So we have lots of inflations because of that also. And for some countries they don't have good enough flour, and so the bakers and lots of companies they are struggling with the resources they used to get from Russia and Ukraine. So not only Ukraine and Russia is fighting, but all countries are being damaged by the war. So, excuse me. Because for us, few decades, all countries realize that I can make ice cream, and other country can make ice cream stick, and this country can make ice cream cone. So what if I make ice cream stick and ice cream cone? It takes more cost. It's better to import those stuff and make ice cream stick, ice cream cone from my country, and this country can make only ice cream sticks, but they can import the whole ice cream, popsicles or whatever, and then it's gonna be cheaper for this country, cheaper for this country, and so we are win-win-win. But what if this country cannot make the ice cream sticks because of the war, because of something else? What if my country cannot import that ice cream sticks? Then I have to build a factory for ice cream sticks. And it takes time. It takes more money. I have to raise the ice cream price, and it's not competitive to other ice cream companies and ice cream, producing countries. So that's what happened to this world for last few decades. But now, countries are realizing that I have to secure. This country has to secure ice cream sticks and ice cream cones, so we can make our own full product, or it's gonna be a hectic when this country got in trouble. When this countries got in trouble, so that means those countries are used to work together, but now, I want to just secure my country, and they want to secure their own countries. So that's gonna be hectic. It's gonna be hectic, and that's what all countries want to do. That pretty serious problem. So anyways, the desire to achieve a positive or negative outcome can lead to unexpected results such as massive violence, like a war. Okay, we are exactly looking at what's happening because of it. The conflict that is not managed has the potential to cause a serious negative potential consequences. Then how we can manage the conflicts? We can let the conflicts go so we can get benefits from the chaos. That's what other countries are doing. What if NATO clearly states that you're not going to accept Ukraine as the member? And that war really didn't happen. Okay? So clear. What if other big countries are saying that they are not supporting those countries, Russia or Ukraine? Then, do you think Ukraine can still have a war without any help from NATO members and America and others? It's negative. They cannot. They can't fight with Russia because they already returned their nuclear weapons and missiles to, I don't know, to, they just disarmed the nuclear, things. They disarmed already. So they have no power. They have nothing to protect themselves. They used to have lots of nuclear missiles, nukes, but after the war, lots of countries, especially America, and other countries, just persuaded Ukraine to disarm all the nukes they have. So the Ukraine is a nuke-free country, and they promised to support Ukraine, and they did some, I think. But this is what happened. Do you think Russia could invade Ukraine if Ukraine has nukes? No. That's exactly why America America is not pressing the North Korea much. Well, North Korea got support from China and Russia. That's the reason, but anyways, people believe that North Korea has nuclear weapons, missiles, and CBMC, Continental, whatever, they can shoot a missile to LA or, Washington State, Washington DC. So they want to just be careful to handle the North Korea because they have a nuke. So now the North Korea is looking at the war between Russia and Ukraine. So Ukraine returned and disarmed all the nukes, and they were invaded by Russia. So what they are thinking is that they have to secure their nukes. And they're not going to give up the nukes they have. I don't know how many they have. I don't know if they really have it. But all people are believing that they have it. Maybe few, maybe more than that. Alright? What if the North Korea shoot a nuke to Seoul? Seoul will be disappeared. All people will die. in a certain range, right? It's gonna be a disastrous thing. I'm gonna die, then this is what they can think. I'm gonna die, and why don't I kill you also? Okay? So people are trying to work on it so the North Korea can be a safe zone. You know, I don't know when it can be happened. A conflict that is not managed has the potential to cause serious negative potential consequences. Okay, nukes, the port, because Russia wants to keep, a port at least to use for 4 seasons. If they lose Ukraine, they're gonna get stuck during the winter time because they don't have any port they can export and import during the winter time because Russia is cold country. According to Burton, individuals and groups strive for the fulfillment of their needs, which, if not satisfied, lead to instability, the violent pursuit of fulfillment, and in worst case, to protracted social conflict. Yes, individuals and groups, countries, they want to fulfill their needs, right? And if not satisfied, lead to instability, like what Russia is doing. Russia broke the war because of that. They lose Ukraine, the relationship with Ukraine. You know, Ukraine is not a member of NATO. So NATO, what the group of the NATO is doing is that a member of NATO country got attacked by others, and all NATO countries will fight back. That's what NATO is doing. So when for Russians' view, when Ukraine becomes a member of NATO, and what if they ban Russia use the Ukraine's port, and they got blocked. They're gonna be isolated. They cannot export, they cannot import, they cannot move to any other places. So it's gonna be unstable to Russia, and violent pursuit. So that's why they broke the war, and all other countries knew it. It's gonna be there will be a war if Ukraine, Zelensky, president of Ukraine, insists to become a member of NATO. But they knew it, but they just ignored it for their profits. They just watching the war because of their profits, benefits. Because of that, they are just watching them. Some countries actually are enjoying the war because they're gonna get benefits. Their benefits can be bigger than their loss. And then why don't they just watch it? They just can pretend that they concern it, but actually they are just enjoying. That's what's happening. That's what's happening in this world. That's why people are fighting. That's why people are breaking wars. That's why they keep on just doing war games. The violent pursuit of fulfillment and worst cases to protract the social conflict, because if they allow that, they're gonna just have social problems. So that's why Ukraine people are fighting back to Russians, and Russians just keep on killing Ukrainians, attacking Ukrainians, and that's why America and NATO and all the countries are watching, and they are supporting Ukrainians and Russians or something. Well, at this point, China is not supporting Russia, but all people know that they are brothers. The instability in the conflict creates a hostile environment for those living within the conflict area. Okay, so that's why they are killing in the battlefield each others. They are killing each others in the battlefield. Okay, owing to the fact that people were already defined by their beliefs before the conflict, the events that take place during conflict further creates increased tension in an already diverse and increasingly divided society. So it's hard to keep the peace. It's way harder to mess the peace. Preventing conflicts is pretty hard. But increasing the conflicts, it's easier. You know, you can mess any relationships very quickly just to spread the gossip, you know. You just say, he said that you are done. Easy, right? Even though the person didn't say that you are done, but you just spread the gossips. He said that you are done. He said that you are dead. He said that you are stupid or something. And you're gonna get, and that person gonna get mad because of your words. And whether that person can talk to that person, but do you think that they're gonna believe each other's? They all can blame you, but once this person heard that, you know, from you, that this person is thinking that you are stupid, your emotion got hurt already, then they're gonna just have, you know, bad mood. They can misunderstand each other. It's hard to make peace and keep peace, right? So that's the events that take place during conflict for the increased tension. So the worst things, the worst things can produce worse things. Okay. So once you have bad feelings, bad mood with others, so that creates, worse and worse and worse relationship with others. So it is this increased tension that amount to issues of displacement. So displacement, death, famine, fear, persecution, hardships, refugee migration, grief, asylum seekers, disorganization of societal structure, damage of cross-border infrastructure, and repairable damage to the repairable damage to the society. That's exactly what happened to Ukraine. So they are fighting each other, they are killing, death, because during the war, they cannot work on their fields for crops, for cattle, so they just lose lots of food. They got fear because of the gunshots or missiles and rockets. They have to stay. They cannot stay in their houses, but they have to move to safer place. So even they have to cross the borders. So that's what European countries are experiencing because of the Ukrainians. They are fleeing to other countries, and other countries have to take care of those people because of the humanitarianism, and they cannot say no because they are supporting the war in some ways, right? So they are just taking those refugee migrations. They lose their family members, griefs, asylum seekers. So they just leave, and this organization of a societal structure, they just lose all the transportation systems, water systems, electricity systems, all other public laws. So people are raping, stealing, killing, hurting. During the war, nobody knows that I killed my brother or friends I hated before. It's happening during the war. Who's gonna make a judge? Who's gonna bring those people to the court? There's no court. There's no judges. There are no judges, no courts, no police officers. It's chaos, enemy. It's an enemy, right? Enemy. No norms. Nomi, norms, laws, enemy. So during the war, that's why lots of people are raping their enemies' women. It's a horrible things are happening. So when a war breaks, kids, especially kids and girls and women, will got hurt more because they are more vulnerable. They have no power to fight back. Physically, it's impossible. So actually, there are lots of news that Russian soldiers are raping Ukraine women because they feeling that they are dominating, they are winning over those Ukrainians. People are this sad, right? That means cross the border, yes. The resultant effects of the spate of massive violence escalates into conflict, which generates total breakdown in law and order. As I said, there is no order, there is no law. You can just eat whatever you see. Okay, you can steal, but the war, the situation justifies what you are doing now. Okay, it was bad, but no one can say it's bad because there are no police officers, there are no law makers and judges or prosecutors. Nobody is there. People are displaced from their homes and they become vulnerable due to periods of conflicts and insecurity in their respective countries of origin. And so there are lots of refugees. So that's a tragedy, right? So during the Japanese colonization in Korea and China, between the wars between China and Japan, Japan and Korea, there were lots of people who left their hometowns because they couldn't live there for security reasons. And lots of people just fled to Japan, fled to Russia, fled to China. So there are lots of Koreans and Koreans' descendants are living there. It's tragedy. But the Korean government had to find better solutions and better, good benefits for those people who are living in other countries, because those people are still Korean descendants. People are displaced from their homes and they become vulnerable due to periods of conflicts and insecurity in their respective countries of origin. That's what exactly we are looking at. That's what really happening in Ukraine, in European countries, and Russia. So the little, I can't say it's little, but the conflict itself was not that big, but the result is huge. The result is huge. Other states who are otherwise not part of the conflict become overwhelmed with refugee situations and are able to cope with meeting their needs. At the end of the day, they may have to grant asylum to these displaced individuals. The other countries, NATO and European countries mainly, and America and other countries in Asia, they have not, they have not many things to do for that war. Okay? They don't want to be part of the war, so because they have to protect their own countries, they have to protect their own, nations, people. But some countries are helping Ukrainians, like England and America, but they're not still hesitating for that. They announced that, but it is hard for them to help Ukraine because of the relationship with Russia. Okay. They don't like Russia, maybe. They don't like Putin, but they cannot be enemy. They don't want to be enemy with Putin or Russia because of many reasons. Because they have a certain relationship with Russia. At the end of the day, they may have to grant asylum to these displaced individuals. Families and victims grieve for their loss or are anxious to know about the whereabouts of their loved ones. They can't find their loved ones. Some are missing, some are, just human trafficking are happening, I believe. And some are dead and buried under the dirt, under the tank. Some are, just, exploded by bombs, missiles, cannons. And so they don't know where their family members are at. They can't find their loved ones' dead bodies either. It is hard to find those dead bodies. Okay. So missing is worse than they see their loved ones. dead bodies. Because they can see their loved ones die and they see the dead bodies, they understand that. They know it. They see that. But what if on the missing people? You have no idea your loved ones is living in somewhere else, got tortured by the enemies, or they're living in another country, or they have no ideas, and they are more vulnerable when they don't find their loved one's body. The drastic change in the structure of a once peaceful society is forever affected by traumas of war, grief, and violence. How can those countries and groups can take care of the people's mental health? Because they are damaged by the tragedies, and they don't know how to take care of the traumas they have already. Can you imagine that you see your family members got killed by somebody, by the enemies, and what if you see the dead body? What if you see your family members are dying? What if you see your family members got shot? It's gonna be a trauma for many years, I think. Many years. And what about the Russian soldiers who killed lots of Ukrainian people? They got traumatized too. Because killing people is not easy even to soldiers, even to military people. Killing others itself can be trauma. So you got trauma because you kill others, you got trauma because you got hurt, you got traumatized because you saw your loved ones got killed, even though you don't know the people, but those people are saying Ukrainian, then you just watched, and so your people got killed by your enemies, and you will get trauma, and you will be traumatized. Then how are you going to take care of those? What about the children? They got traumatized and they have no idea how to solve that problem. That's a mental problem, right? So not only physical, but the mental and spiritual problems can be happened during the war, during the conflict, after the conflict. The Office of the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees is presently assisting 256 families on the Pacific coast of Colombia. That's what happened in several years ago, who were displaced in June 2015 after violent attacks by guerrillas. There were approximately 65,000 recognized refugees in South Africa. At the end of 2013, there were 230,000 asylum seekers awaiting decisions. Okay. According to Department of Home Affairs figures, conflicts are always detrimental to victims and the affected population. The prevention of conflicts helps to establish a conducive environment for the peaceful resolution of disputes and protection of individual rights. It also helps to create a stable environment for its inhabitants. So, there can be lots of people, and those are all victims. Those are all victims. Even though you got an order from your country, like Russian, let's say Russian soldiers got an order from Russian government to kill Ukrainians, and you kill your enemy, and because you got the order, you have to kill those people, and that's kind of a right for your country, but it is a right for a human being. So those Russian soldiers are victims also. They are not happy after they killed those people, because killing people is not happy work at all. And Ukraine and Russia was one country before. DNA-wise, they are very close. They are brothers and sisters, and they are relatives. They are just in different countries. They are living in different countries, and that's it. So those things are making those people vulnerable. It's hard for them. It's hard for them to take it. And lots of people are seeking their awaiting decisions. Asylums. They have to run away from their home countries. They have to. So that is what happening. That is what happened. We learn from the past, but we are repeating the same mistakes and same sins because of our own benefits. Okay, that's ouch. That's ouch. How do you resolve conflicts? Third party invention. Conflicts can be positive or negative. Positive conflicts lead to development and improvement. Negative conflicts lead to violence and chaos. This means that not all conflicts are detrimental to human development. Detrimental. This dynamics creates the opportunity for third parties to devise various means and methods by which they can resolve conflicts. Third parties who intervene to resolve conflicts always try to analyze the conflicting interests of the parties in order to know the best method for resolution of the conflict. Oftentimes, conflicts is as a result of miscommunication or misperception. The winner's takes all syndrome is an underlying factor which propels parties to a conflict to invest more in their dispute when there is more at stake. So people are thinking that if I lose, I'm going to lose everything. If I win, I'm going to get everything. But that's not true. Well, Russia is winning, but they haven't won yet. But they are just pouring lots of money for the war. And they know that, Russia knows that their soldiers are dying. And what about their families? Their families in Russia, and they're gonna get angry if they don't get good enough benefits from the war. Okay, and then they're gonna get compensated. Other than that, they're gonna get angry and they're gonna be, they're gonna complain to Russian government, which is not good for the current government and Putin. So but it's not true. they win, but they're gonna lose a lot of things too. It's not 100% winning. For the winning, they have to lose lots of things. Ukraine will lose, but they're not gonna lose 100%, but they damage Russia too. Okay? As much as Russia lose, the Ukrainians won't win. Okay? And then Ukraine will win the NATO countries' support. And NATO wants Ukraine, accept Ukraine as one of the members now. Well, I don't know what happened after the war. Because people are changing, depends on what they can get. Like hyenas, like animals, like wolves. That's what all people are doing. We have new Korean governments now, but I don't know. They just changing their public promises already. That's what happening to all governments, all people. But people got disappointed with those things. Not only in Korea, but also in many other countries. That's sad. So this shows that consequences of a conflict. There are positive consequences, like leads to new ideas. Okay, we can learn from conflicts. And stimulates creativity. We never got challenged from the conflicts, so we can be creative. Because for the resolving the conflicts we are facing too, and we have to use things we haven't used before. Okay, because that conflict is kind of new, then we need to create our new ways how to take care of those conflicts, and how to resolve those conflicts. And those things are what we are supposed to do, then that means that stimulates creativity. We need to be creative. Motivate, even though we have the same conflicts among us, but the people are different, and environments are different, and conditions are different. So we have to be creative to resolve those conflicts no matter what. Motivates change. We need to be changed, and we need to change things. Okay? Because there are new conflicts, we are not supposed to use the same methods for solving their problems. The conflicts, what we used to other conflicts. So motivates change, we need to change ourselves, we need to change the environments, we need to change the conditions, we need to change the enemies. There are many things we need to change, so motivates change. And after the conflicts, what we are supposed to do, we don't want to just repeat the conflicts, so we have to change our laws and systems and habits. Promotes organizational vitality. So organizations can move effectively, so we can prevent the conflicts again. And we can create better peace. Helps individuals and groups establish identities. Okay. So during the conflicts, we have to know who we are and be able to work with, people we hated, we loved. Serves as a safety valve to indicate problems. Safety valve to indicate problems. Okay. And there are negative consequences also. Okay. Negative consequences. Diverts energy from work. So we need more energies for that, and threatens of psychological well-being. When you have a conflict with somebody, and you will get stressed, and you have to know how to take care of your stress. Stress management is needed. It takes more energy. It takes more, concerns, and you cannot concentrate on your work because of the stress. Waste resources. You cannot use your resources. You have to put more resources for the conflicts, and creates a negative climate. During the conflicts, you cannot make peace with others. It creates more conflicts. And then bad moods are going on, breaks down group cohesion. You used to work together, but you cannot work together anymore because of the conflicts. Can increase the hostility and aggressive behaviors. During the conflicts, the people want revenge, people want to fight, but so they're not going to show you any peaceful activities. And the hostility will be increased, and aggressive behaviors can occur. So you have to be careful. And just low people who are going low, they can do whatever they want. Can you imagine what they can do? You cannot imagine, Cannot imagine what to do. There can be serious problems. The aim of a third party intervening in a conflict should then be to determine such a high-stake conflict through settlement. Resolution and transformation. For settlement, the intervening party endeavors to achieve a win-win situation for both parties in resolution. So there can be win-win situations, and conflicts can hurt both parties. But the third party is supposed to, try to find anything, good for both parties. For settlement, in resolution, the appropriate steps to take is to identify the root causes, determine the best approach for resolving the conflict, and guard against the recurrence of the conflict. Three things are very important. You have to know what the root cause is, and what's the best for resolving the conflict, and how to guard against the recurrence of the conflict. In transformation, the impact of the resolution of the conflict must not only transform the character and capacity of the disputants, but also the society where they reside. In addition, the methods for resolving conflict between two people can be of use in addressing group conflict. A third party is an actor that is involved in either helping the warring parties to regulate the incompatibility or to change conflict behavior, or to regulate other conflict issues, and thus works as an intermediary between the primary parties to the conflict. Conflict in its many forms is an omnipresent fact of human existence. So you go, wherever you go, you will see conflicts. Since it often includes dysfunctional and destructive components, men have explored numerous methods for its management, including techniques of avoidance, regulation, and resolution. There are various ways of resolving conflicts between non-state actors and state actors. Some of these methods are negotiation, prosecution, peacekeeping, peace agreements, and amnesties. A number of these methods will involve the intervention of outside third party, as in mediation, arbitration, and conciliation. So those things are very crucial for the third parties who wants to resolve the conflicts and mediate two conflicting groups. Do you think it is no, not at all? Because of the emotional things, that's the most important things, and it is not easy to correct others and groups, and because they don't know what they have been doing, and what they are doing is good for them, and they have no problems, and they don't understand what God wants and what others wants, and they don't know what to do, and they want to just fight. Okay, they want to just resist because they don't know it, they don't understand it, and they don't want to change even a little thing they used to do. Okay, so it is pretty hard and pretty tough to resolve conflicts. So once it takes place, it is hard to control it. But the third parties can do things, and there are third parties. The third parties are supposed to, take responsibilities on that. But it is easy, or no, it's not easy at all. But so that's why we need laws. Okay, so people without laws, they go crazy, and nobody can take care of those people. So following the law is the best way, even though that is the bad law. So law is law, because we all consented on it. All right. So that's all for today. So I want to see you next time.